All right, we will be making this gorilla today, and we are going to be doing it on our textured paper that we already textured with black and white, and we created some different values of gray. And what I want you to see with our gorilla is that we're actually going to, he is already here. That gorilla is already here, and we're just going to pull him through by using shadows, a black oil pastel. We're going to pull him through using our magic artist hands and our magic artist eyes. He's already there. We're just going to pull him through. And all we're going to be using today is a black oil pastel and a white oil pastel. A black crayon and a white crayon would work fine. These just blend really nice. They're a little softer. That's why I like to use them. And the black is a little darker. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do, and remember I like to start from the center and move my way out. So when we did our gorilla study, we noticed that he had these little nostrils that kind of slanted up. Just like that. So we're going to create these little nostrils. We'll go ahead and fill those in because we know they're going to be black. And again, think symmetry, because the more symmetrical, that means whatever I do on one side of the gorilla, I'm going to do on the other. The more symmetrical it is, the better he's going to look. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do his eyes. And remember, we were just going to slant up. We want really big eyes, big gorilla eyes. So we're going to slant up right over the nostrils. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that little moon. We're going to turn it into a half moon. Again, try to get it as symmetrical as you can. All right, we're going to do a little curved line here. And a little curved line here to create that iris. We're going to go ahead and add a pupil, but we're going to be doing something really, really special with these eyes. So this is just a guide. We're going to do the same thing over here. Now what's going to be important with this gorilla, because a lot of his face is going to be black. He has a lot of shadow over his face because he has a brow bone that goes over his eyes. So we need to make sure that we leave, this is very important, that we leave some white here, and when we start doing his eyes, we've got to leave a reflective light somewhere in the center. Otherwise, it's just going to be all black. So we will be creating those eyes with our black pastel, but we've got to leave some of it open. Okay, so the very next thing we're going to do is, remember, we're going to do almost like this little heart shape. And it's going to come down, but you're not going to connect it. So we're going to do his face, and his face is almost shaped like a heart, but we're not going to connect it at the bottom. And I'm pressing kind of hard with my oil pastel. All right, you see him coming through? All right, now we're going to do that big circle on the bottom. And now we're going to do that mouth. Remember, we're just going to go straight across. But remember, we want it a little bit thicker, the line a little bit thicker in the center. That's going to give that illusion that his little lips are open. And we're going to do something really cool with his lips. So just make sure that center line is just a little bit thicker. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do those ears. His ears are right up here by the eye. And they're not very big. He doesn't have very big ears. Because this is where we're going to add, he almost has like a little gorilla mane. So what we're going to do is we're going to come right straight down from that ear, and we're going to zigzag all the way down. Again, I'm going to come right off the ear, and I'm going to zigzag straight down. Perfect. And then remember, we're going to do that head. He has a really tall head. So I'm actually going to come right here at the top of the ear, and I'm just going to pretend like his head's so big it comes right off the page. I'm going to do the same thing on that side. Perfect. Let's go ahead and add that little backwards 3. We're going to add some shadow. in that ear. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and do that little upside down V. We're going to make our gorilla mean. I would have been terrified of this gorilla whenever I was a little girl. Even a picture of one. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add, now we're really going to start making him look like a gorilla. We're going to add that really, remember we talked about it when we did our gorilla study. He's got a, if you really look at a gorilla, he's got an eyebrow bone that comes right down across his eye. So we're just going to do a really dark line. Goes across his eyes. Fill in some black up here. Good. Just like that. Perfect. And then remember, we were just going to go ahead. His eyes are set back in his head. They're really set back far, which creates a really thick shadow. So we're going to go ahead and do that black around his eyes. See how we're just pulling him through just by using some shadow. We're pulling him right through this page. That's what I love about art. Because we can see the gorilla. And we pull him through for everyone else to see what's in our imagination. All right, perfect. Bring these out some. All right, I'm going to do some little gorilla brows up here. Just because we don't want it to look too much like a heart. We just know that it was about the shape of a heart. We don't really want that to show. Little gorilla brows. Okay. All right, so we're going to do this little, his little nose is kind of smushed in his face. If you look at a gorilla, he actually has a little smushed in nose, which creates these little wrinkles. So we're going to give the illusion that his nose is kind of smushed up just by adding a few little lines right there. Perfect. We're also going to curve a couple of lines this way at this nose. Let's do about 3. Again, we're creating that illusion that that nose is kind of smushed. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction when I get on this side of the page. But you want it symmetrical, so if you do 3 lines on one side, do 3 on the other. You kind of want them different lengths. Looks a little more realistic. Alright, so now we're going to add that little shadow at the bottom of the mouth. Perfect. And then we're going to give him a little beard. I'm going to give him a gorilla beard. I'm also going to add a little more depth right here on the side, right here above his mouth. I'm going to add some little gorilla fur. It just kind of gives him some more depth right in there. See how that really looks a little more realistic. Perfect. Alright, so now we're going to work on his eyes. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to fill in his eye with black, but I'm going to leave a little bit, it doesn't matter where, I'm going to leave a little bit of it open to really create that dark eye. Doesn't matter where you leave the reflective light, just leave a little bit of it open so we don't close up the whole eye. Really look dramatic. See how, ooh, here he comes. Here he comes out. All right. All right, and then remember we talked about a gorilla having that dark shadow right there on the top of his head, and we're just going to kind of go out almost like a flower right here. Just going to keep going out like a big wide V. I'm going to create that little illusion of that really dark indentation he had right there on his head when we did our gorilla study. And then I'm going to add a little bit of hair up here at the top of his head. Again, just to add a little more depth. We can't forget his shoulders. His shoulders are going to actually come right, I'm going to go right up under the ear, and I'm just going to add one little curved line. just like that. See how that makes a big difference. Now we have some little gorilla shoulders. Perfect. Just so we don't have a floating head. We don't want a floating gorilla head. That just kind of, that now we've given him a body just by adding that couple of curved lines. Very good. All right. I think that was all the detail, but I wanted to do one more thing because I noticed on the gorilla, he actually had, his bottom lip had a highlight on it. So I'm just going to take this white oil pastel and I'm just going to blend right into my black, the bottom lip, and that just really gives it some dimension and makes it look a little more realistic. Just blend that in a little bit with my black so it looks like gorilla lips. I also noticed that he had a shadow or a highlight right above his eyebrow bone where the light kind of hits it because the rest of it is so dark. And I'll just kind of blend that in with my black a little bit. He also had a highlight right up under that really dark shadow. Maybe a little bit of highlight up here on his gorilla brows. Just kind of blend that in. Perfect. And I think that was all of our steps to our gorilla, and here he is. See how we just pulled him right out of our gray paper. All right. Awesome.